All right, then I think what we'll do is call the meeting to order. At 7:04. All right, Mark, do we have to approve the meeting minutes, or are those just attached to be attached?
Well, they will have to be approved at some point. We can either do it at this meeting or the meeting in April.
Do it in April,
Okay.
so that we can kind of be focused on what it is we're doing tonight.
Yeah.
All right. So Mark, I don't know if you want to do the summary of it.
The summary of the council meeting?
Yep.
Ooch. Okay.
Or you want me to?
You're gonna make me relive that, huh?
Well, I was there too for the entire.
Yeah, no, you were.
So,
Yeah. So the reason that we're having this special meeting is the council rejected the proposal that was brought forth to them. They had a number of suggestions on different items after the presentation was made by J.J. Keegan. The rates was one of the items that they had comments on and provided some guidance at the end of the council meeting with percentage increases that they felt comfortable with. And that was a 5 to 7% increase in resident rates and up to a 15% increase in non-resident rates. And that was for season passes and I don't think we really discussed the greens fee rates.
no, nobody's discussed the greens fee rates yet.
Right. So that's open to discussion this evening, I guess. Well, both items are.
Okay.
And there was also a phrase used that the council would like to see the golf advisory board. It wasn't rethink, reimagine.
Mhm.
I think, was it reimagine? Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah, reimagine the proposal when we come back, or
Okay.
have a reimagined proposal when we
Yeah.
go back in front of the council.
Quick question.
Sure. You're all blurry though. Yeah,
I'm
Mike,
sorry.
you're there.
Yep. When will we go back in front of the council? Do we have a set date?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Actually, the way that the current process is set up, the next step would be to go to the Parks and Rec Commission with a recommendation from the Golf Advisory Board, and then
Right.
they will move a recommendation to the council.
Does anyone have a feel for the timeline then? Because
Well, I think it's likely going to have to be a special meeting because the Parks and Rec Commission doesn't meet until the end of this month, and I don't think we ought to wait
right,
too much further into the season to set our rates.
Yeah, I think what's pressing us right now is, April's coming fast.
Yep.
People start posting scores April 15th. People start deciding on where they're going to join, what course, what club, whatever that is. And yeah, we need to get that out there because it's stopping everything from happening. But anyway, yeah, I agree with your point, Mark, that after tonight or maybe at the end of the session, try to circle back quickly with Park and Rec so we can get an approval by the town council, maybe before the month is up. That would be ideal.
I agree.
So, yeah, okay, great. So again, for later
Okay.
discussion.
Yep. So I don't know, Marie and Mike in particular and the others, if you had a chance to go back and review the town council meeting. Or, well, Eric and Todd got to live it as well. So, no, I mean, so I think there was some good feedback that came from the council. And I think it kind of got me thinking anyway, you know, are we kind of going about this at the right way? Is there something else? And I'll just kind of give my observations and my thoughts that came out of that, and then, you know, we can kind of go back to the default position of just let's increase the season pass rates 7 and 15%. I don't think 5% is viable, to be honest, but there was a couple of things, and in particular, Counselor Bordelon, a couple of things that you said that really kind of hit me and made me think about, like, are we kind of going about this the right way and thinking about it? And I have, at this point, I have no leaning significantly one way or another. The first was around asking us to go back and take a look at what Eastern Point Beach does, because they have a set of rates that deal with the citizens of the city of Groton, the town of Groton, and then non-residents. And when I took a look at what they do, essentially there is for non-residents, it's $100 for the season. For residents of the town, it's $80 for the season. And for residents of the city, it's $40 for the season to get an Eastern Point Beach pass. So essentially, the discount being a citizen of the city of Groton over being a town is 50%, and then obviously somewhere in the neighborhood of 60% if you want to look at residents versus non-residents. And I thought, well, you know, that's fairly significant. And if you're talking about beach passes at $100, $40, maybe it's not as
Yeah.
big a deal. But it is. And the other piece of it that came out of that for me though was the this is a really bad word to use for this, but the democratization of the discount that's offered to golfers. And so when I came back and I started playing around with the numbers, and I noticed that, let's say whether you're a resident or you're a non-resident, doesn't matter, same theory holds. If you buy a season pass, which by the way is the cost of entry to be able to participate in the men's and women's clubs at Shennecossett, you must have a season pass. If you, in particular, if you want to participate in the club championships, and I think each of them has around 4, that if you're a golfer who's working or who can't play a significant amount of number of rounds a year, let's say 40, and the rate is 2,000, I'm just going to use that number, it's not where we're headed, but 2,000, then essentially you dollar cost average out to $50 a round. And at our current greens fee rate, that's anywhere from a 10 to a 20% discount. If you're somebody who can place, let's make this math easy, let's say 80 rounds a year or 70 rounds a year, then you're basically dollar cost averaging out at $30 a year or $30 a round. So you get a significantly higher discount the more you can play by purchasing the season pass. And I'm not sure that that's kind of fair to everybody who may want to participate in particular in the men's and women's clubs, but in order to do that are getting a kind of a minor discount. The discount for the non-residents would be even less, because we're going to basically push them into a place where they're paying a little bit more. So those are just a couple of observations that I made and thoughts that kind of went through my head. And then I went back to doing what the council asked, and just kind of calculated the rates out, which I'm sure everybody on this call did, just to see what that would look like. And it basically brings the resident season pass for a full unlimited down about $150 to $200, and then increases the resident rate up about $100 to $150. So, or the non-resident rate. So I think that we're going to be in a position where we're going to offset, we're going to reduce the resident rate and we're going to increase the non-resident rate by about the same amount in order to offset the two, which makes sense because it's 7% and 15% and they're roughly twice each other. So you would expect mathematically that that's what's going to happen here. So we can take the kind of the easy way out and just go with the season pass that route. I still think the loyalty card, which is another option that's out there, and I know that a lot of people kind of didn't really like it. I think they didn't really understand it, but it would allow us to do something like charge an initial fee, like many of the other courses in the state of Connecticut do. It was in the original tables that were submitted to the town council. A nominal fee, 49, 99, 149, doesn't matter. And then maybe you purchase that loyalty card up front or that resident card up front, and you get a 50% off discount no matter how many times you play. So if we go back to the scenario where somebody who's maybe only going to play 30, 40 times a year gets between a 10 and 15% discount, and somebody who plays 60, 70, 80 times a year is going to get a lot more, like close to 60, 70%. I'm changing the numbers because my numerator is changing. But you could kind of even it all out by offering an option that just gives everybody 50% off. And the reason I landed on that number is the math comes out approximately equal to the season pass rates for the average golfer. But just to kind of a different way of kind of looking at this, without going down the season pass rate or both. I mean, I think they both have their place in this game, but just throwing some things that went through my head, random thoughts out there. So I would love to hear from anybody else, Mike, Marie, in particular, Counselor Bordelon, any additional advice you'd have for us or direction, Representative Wells, anybody, Todd, Eric, on kind of the way to go. Yes, Mike.
Yeah, so good work again, once again, Margaret. I think, as I thought about it long and hard, I think the problem I'm in favor of a season pass with the price, the percent increases that were suggested by the town council. And the reason is, for me, I'm still not clear on, are we self-sufficient? Do we need to raise our own money, or no, we are going to have some help from the town going forward? That's one piece of confusion I still have. And two, we know we're going to put in a new, we need data, right, that we all didn't have. So in fairness to all of us, whether you're on one side of the fence or the other,
Yep.
we need the data to really guide us going forward in terms of, the amount of play. This cancellation piece needs to be put in place so people are penalized, maybe not monetarily, but maybe the rights are suspended, whatever it is that we come up with. I think that's got to be finalized as well. But anything we can do to give ourselves, again, everyone, just more data about what occurs at the golf course, I think that has to happen by keeping the season pass in place, not making any radical changes at this point. So that, okay, next year, at this time, maybe even earlier, like the January timeframe, we can all look at data and information that will really guide us on what we need to do going forward. Because I think making a radical change right now with a discount card, I don't think that's the right move right now. Because I think the other thing it does is, for people, and one of the season pass piece, I always go back to the idea that we're consistent, we're within a price range. I should say, maybe reword that. We're in a price range that is consistent with the other municipal courses and other courses that are of our caliber. Keeney Park, Norwich, Rockledge, they're all in that $1,800 to $2,200 range. I'll say we're a little bit lower for the residents. I think that's fine. And for the non-residents, if I was to join Rockledge or whatever, we're going to be in that like $2,100 range because they just went up this year in terms of their rates as well. So I think that's really the sweet spot for us. I know we put a lot of work into all the different scenarios, but I think until we really learn more about where we're at, I think that's the right move for this year.
Okay, and just one quick second,
Sure.
Mark, Marie needs to be let in as a panelist.
Sorry,
All
I
right,
was
Counselor,
busy
that's okay. Counselor
taking
Bordelon?
notes.
I'm sorry, is Mike done? I don't want to overstep there.
I think Mike is done.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. First, I just want to say, thank you for all the hard work that everyone has done. I know this is not easy and you're not going to, it's a lot of work. But what I heard loud and clear, and again, I don't get to vote in this group. I'm just advisory. My vote comes when it comes to the council, but I can speak about, some of my thoughts. And again, these are my thoughts. It's not the council. I can't speak on behalf of the entire council. So my opinions here today are just my sole opinions as a council, not as the council's opinion.
Yep.
But I am concerned about the increase to the youth fees. And I know someone spoke up about maybe, I'm not sure exactly where our age ends at 21, but should that go to 25? So I have some concerns about that. I had concerns about the cart fees for seniors before 9. When we look at the numbers, how much are we really making by increasing it on about 20 to 30 people? So I just, really think we need to look at that. And again, I think I can see the need for an increase, right? Like nothing's for free and everything has a cost associated with it. I mean, to maintain this beautiful course that we have, I just think it needs to be a little bit more gradual, a little bit more planned out, a little bit more forecasted. But I definitely think, going up in the non-resident a little bit heavier than the resident would be a great starting point. I'm not saying the resident shouldn't go up a modest amount. But I do think there's a lot of things to look at here. Also, we need to look at other ways that we can bring in some passive income by reaching out to our local community and see who's willing to donate to our golf course. Maybe start donating, not donating, seeing if people want to do a memorial bench or, things like that. Some golf courses have gardens along the edges where people can put plants in memory of people. I mean, there's other ways to bring in some revenues that's not going to stick it to the people, the taxpayer. So I would love for us to kind of look at that and put that out there for people, kind of like they do at Eastern Point Beach. You can buy benches and things. I'm not sure what for the golf course, but I think we can find some other way. I also think we need to put the need out there that we need a lot of repairers, and there might be some sponsors out there that want their name, hanging up around the clubhouse or the golf course that says, Dominion donated, 10,000 to the course or something, or EB, So for now, I look to you guys to kind of come up with a plan. It will come back to me at the council, but I really want to look at that youth fee as well. And I guess, what is the age that the youth stop at currently? Is that 21 or 25?
No, the youth stop at 18. And then we collapsed kind of the associate, and it goes from 19 to 25.
19 to 25. Okay. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I just again, I saw a huge raise in that area, and I'll just speak on my own. I have a 19 and a 22-year-old. And, if my son was a golfer, that would be a huge increase for a kid who's barely making any income while in college. So we just don't want to block out those resident kids that are interested and are the future of the golf course to too high of an increase. So,
and not that I kind of disagree with that. I think you're spot on, but I wonder what is the minimum rate for playing the course, what should that be? Kind of, where should that be? I mean, is it $5 to play a round of golf? Is it $10 to play a round of golf? Is it 15?
Yeah, and that to me, I mean, that's something you guys have to generate. I just think there needs to be like a prediction of how you guys are going to increase,
Yeah.
like I know people who own properties and are rentals, and they let their tenants know a year out, hey, I'm going up this percent, and hey, I'm going to try to get to this medium income. So you're going to see raises over the next 3 to 4 years, to try to get to here, to give those people that are, being affected by it some warning. I'm not sure what that number would be. I think, the ball's in you guys' court to kind of figure it out, but I think it needs to be, reasonable. And, I do think there should be fees for cancellation, no shows,
Yep.
or cancellations. I think that's that I think we are operating in a system where people are able to get green time to play, and we should have some form of control on that. And I also think we have to get the software in immediately. That is something that I had spoken about before, and this is definitely something we need to come into the 21st century and get something much more viable as a software. So those are my concerns, but definitely concerned about the seniors. I want to make sure our military have the proper rate, and so forth, and our youth. Thank you.
Marie? And I just so you know, I just threw up where and I went to 7%, but where the 7% and 15% kind of land us. It's a $25 increase, which I'm not sure is sufficient, but that's where we are. So this is where we landed with the proposed increases from the town council.
Maria, are you able to make that a little bit bigger by chance? Just like up. I mean, Margaret.
It's okay. You get called all sorts of weird things lately.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Marie.
Okay, first I apologize. We're having all kinds of power surges here, and if I drop internet, I'll try calling in again by phone, but I apologize for this. I looked at the committee of the whole meeting 3 times, including the 3rd time today, and looked very carefully, listened carefully. I'm kind of sorry we've come to this, but at the same time, it really renewed my spirit about community and where I live and the course I play at. I absolutely agree that the improvement or a new point of service software is needed so that, as Michael has said, and Porcelain, that we understand the data, that we have real numbers to make our decisions with. I feel strongly, and I have a fair amount of experience being on boards, and there's always been a really clear delineation whether I was on an advisory board or whether I was on a management board, a supervisory board. And that supervisory board entails supervising staff and raising money. The advisory board is more about policy and regulations and that kind of thing. But we're advising to chambers that are higher level than we are. And I take very, very seriously what the council said. Of the 8 counselors that were there on the night of February 28th, all 8 recommended a amount between 5% and 7%. And I believe it was 6 out of the 8 counselors also said, whatever that number is for Groton residents, tack on another 15% for non-residents. So I'm personally in favor of a 5% increase for Groton residents so that we have a 20%, not a 22% increase for non-residents. I think at this point, without having the data, without giving ourselves the time, just giving ourselves the time to figure out what we need and how we can make this course the best that possibly, that we can for our Groton community as well as our extended community. Again, as Michael has said, and I'll just disclose this now. In January, I spoke with one of my RTM members who represents my district, and I said, I don't get this. I don't get what's going on with the spreadsheet here. And that RTM member went and had a face-to-face meeting with our town manager. And he shared with me, the RTM member, that the town has not 100% walked away from CIPs for the course. If I look at the meeting, when I looked again at the meeting of the 28th, there's a little small clip, but our town manager says he has money in his budget for the course. Like Michael said, I need to know how I make my decision based on, again, that higher level intention of the CIPs for the course. I look back in our minutes in our February meeting a year ago. We were shared that $150,000 would be coming out of the fund balance for CIPs from the course, and that any project that was approved by the town council and deemed necessary, the council might possibly bring that money up through the regular CIP process to make a project viable. So I just want to see more communication, or maybe here I am. I'm on the bottom. I'm low level here. I totally understand. I'm advisory. I'm not supervisory. But as a taxpayer and my role in the course for the course, just see through better communication so that we know, so we can make informed decisions. One, better data from the point of service, and two, more communication to our advisory board as to what information we have to make decisions. So I am certainly in favor of 5 for residents, 15 for with a 15% over that, so it'd be 20% for non-residents. And I also would like to see that $15 cart rate before 9 a.m. for Monday through Friday. I did the numbers too, based on what Todd had said. It might be done between $75 to $100. I think the town can absorb it. I think that the women we have in our league who use that cart at that time is most of them are. I'm elderly, but are elderly, and they have been loyal members to the course. They would walk if they could. They would walk if they could, or people who have health concerns that just won't allow them to walk this beautiful course. So and that $5 that they don't pay the course, they're paying to Par 4 to be part of that social community of lunch afterwards in our league. So I would hate to see them not have that $5 discount that they, because then they wouldn't play, they wouldn't get the activity or the social connection, which is so important in community. So thank you for listening.
Todd or Eric, anything to contribute, or Gary? Yes, Representative Wells.
Hello. I've watched, everybody seems like, I think that if we're going to reimagine things, maybe we could just do away with resident rates. It's simpler to come up with what a round of golf it costs and is worth. And there are discounts available with loyalty cards or even senior citizen discounts. I mean, this town isn't like some of the counties in West Texas, the size of the state of Connecticut. We're practically walking distance from Ledyard. And, I grew up in Old Mystic. My father played Pequot, and we both played the Stonington golf courses. They were closer than Shennecossett. Never thought about it. So, maybe we can come up with one rate that's based on what it's worth to play the thing, and then offer discounts otherwise. I knew that was going to go over big because people have been going, wait, I pay a lot of tax.
I think $5 of my taxes goes to the golf course, so.
Yeah, I know, but most people in town aren't golfers.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, that's, we don't have to talk this out.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Mike, again.
Yeah, I think for me, just my thought about it is, I think we got to run before, I think we got to walk before we run. The pro shop has, even when I talk with, people from Todd's staff in there, when I speak with them about, options that we're entertaining and stuff with discount cards and so on. Again, I think we got to walk before we run, before we make that change because it's gonna create, it's a pretty big change and it's gonna take extra work for the pro shop at this stage of the game. I think once we get, system in place, processes, a little bit more buttoned up there, so we can get better data. I think, okay, when we come around the corner next year again, I think that's when we get entertain that change. But I think, there's at this point, there's a number of people that, when I spoke to a lot of people about all these points that have been raised over the last few months. I think people are really linked hard to the season pass approach, and I think again it'll make it easier for the pro shop in transition here, as we go forward. And then okay, next year, maybe we take a look at that. But I don't think the timing is right for that right now. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and that's fine. And the only challenge that I'll make to the men's and the women's club is if you have golfers out there who would like to participate in the tournaments within the men's and women's club, but don't play significantly enough in the summer to feel that the season pass is worth it, what are you going to do to help them in the future become more likely to participate?
Well, one of the challenges with that is because in our bylaws, we have a stipulation that says in order to play in the tournaments, you have to have a season pass.
Correct.
So I was always like, why is that, right? Well, one of the reasons is it rewards the reason it was put in place is it rewards those that support the golf course. They buy a season pass and it allows them to, by buying that season pass and supporting the golf course by showing, hey, I'm going to put my $1,500 or $2,000 down, then that entitles you to play in the tournaments. It also eliminates one of the problems that has occurred at other courses where I've played in the past is a transient type of men's club, right? Or women's club where people come in, they just want to win a tournament, like a major tournament, whether it's a President's Cup or a club championship, and they play in that and that's it. They're gone. You don't even see the guy anymore. And that's not something you want, right? In terms of the community aspect of what we have there. Because one thing we do have there is tremendous community, much more than anywhere I've been.
Yep, for people who can afford the season pass rates.
Right. So again, you keep that community piece in place, all the camaraderie of all the people that know each other. You keep that in place, and you avoid having a transient type of men's club with guys coming in because people just want to sort of like bounce around and try to win a club championship somewhere or win a tournament somewhere and move on. I've seen it before a number of times, especially where I used to play at Lyman. So I think I know that's why that is in place. It was sort of rewards those that are supporting the course by buying a season pass.
Okay. And I would just make the observation that a loyalty card, the player who's playing 30 times a year is going to pay the same amount of money. So, but that said, all right.
Yeah,
Anybody else?
Maybe Margaret, I didn't understand, the loyalty card till we start talking about it for a little while. After a few months, I said, okay, now I understand what it's about. So again, I'm not completely opposed to it. Again, I just think the timing for that is not me.
Okay.
And just my thought.
Yep, that's fine. Any other comments?
I guess I will share with the group that we had 3 interviews today with Golf Management Systems, and we have one more scheduled for tomorrow when we're trying to line up at least one other. So a number of the 2 out of the 3 demonstrations that we saw today would address some of the concerns that have been raised about no shows and short shows, and so I think moving forward, we will have that data that everybody has talked about in order to make more informed decisions next year.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, one thing I heard from a guy I played with the other day about, he was a member at River Ridge, and hopefully this whatever system we pick may have this option. Again, it all depends on what we want to have in place for a policy. But at River Ridge, what they do is if you don't cancel your tee time, you basically are blocked from the system and you lose your playing privilege for the following week. I think that's probably more effective than because I understand what people raise their concerns about. The financial piece of it is being able to make that, the whole task of the transaction of charging people for missing their tee time. Maybe that's one of our options, right? Is we have that ability to block them from the system and suspend their playing privilege for a week. And then people will be much more motivated to cancel their time.
And then what do you do about the greens fee player?
I think it holds true for the greens fee player. Again,
Somebody who comes through once, twice a year, 3 times a year, you're going to block privileges?
I think you're going to run into that no matter what. I think at this point, from what I see and what people have mentioned, that it's that's not the bigger concern. The bigger concern, and I think, I know from what I see, the pro shop, and this is where the system maybe will help us, right? Show that, okay, if somebody cancels because the place is so busy, especially on a beautiful day, there's people waiting to play and we slip them in. So,
But that doesn't mean you don't charge the people who missed.
well, again, I think that's what we got to decide. We're going to charge them or not,
Well,
it all depends how hard line we're going to be.
yeah, I think, I mean, I understand what you say, suspend it for the week, but maybe you really did have an emergency. I'd rather pay the $25 or whatever the fee is so I don't miss out on the next 4 days to go golfing because I had a death in the family and I was more focused on, not going to my tee time. So I did call around and it wasn't unreasonable for Massachusetts to some other like higher thriving, like town golf courses everywhere. Like they all have cancellation fees. You talk to your hairdresser, your doctor, you don't show up. That's a slot where they're missing. If I don't make my hair appointment, she's losing out on $150 if I don't show up. So there's a fee attached to that. So there's got to be some disclaimer like, hey, here's your tee time. If you miss it, you'll be charged $25 up to 10 minutes after the time or whatever that time window is that you guys approve.
Yeah.
But I do think we're moving into the 21st century. Nowhere can you play for free. And even if there are people sitting there lined up, we should be catching the money on the back end for the people who didn't show for the inconvenience.
Yes.
So I think that is, and I respect your view on it, but I do think that there is a way to put that in and the system will do it itself. You just type it, the person's not there, you put the other person's name in. I talked to the guy at the phone and he said it just charges that other person $25. They have to have a card on file.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah,
thought.
and I'm middle of the road on that one. I could go either way. Portia, I could either go, hey, suspend them or no tee time the following week or charge them.
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to be
Either way.
penalized. People for
Yeah, either way is fine with me.
Yeah.
I think I think that to look at a system that you could make a partial payment if you're a greens fee. So maybe you charge, if the fees, let's say, I'm just saying $50, but the greens fee is $50, charge them $25 when they make the fee. And when they come in, you charge them the other $25. If they don't show up, you keep the first, whatever that portion is.
Yeah. I think
50%, 10%, but I think those can be done, so the charge is a real charge, regardless if they come or not, a partial, and then you get that second payment when they show.
Margaret,
And
I think
then-
we need to get back to the rates and
Yep.
not.
I'm going there next.
Yeah,
So,
thank you.
all right. So like I said, I did the math. I think given one of the impetuses for this particular exercise that we're going through at this point, and we found a lot, is the fact that the rates do need to go up, and we have held them for the last 5-6 years. We've held them way below the inflation rate. We've purposely held the rates at 0 increases in several years to give people in this town a break. So I don't think it's unreasonable to ask for a 7% increase for the residents, because in general, that's $115. These guys are taking the biggest hit. It's $115 increase for the year for the full unlimited single adult. And then, it's $100 per person here. I mean, the ranger's out of it. For the we're talking about $90 as an increase for a limited adult, a $145 increase for the family. For the seniors and all of our military folks, it's about a $95 increase. For the youth, it's a $25 increase. And for our associates, it's really right around a $65 increase for the year. So I feel the 7% is fairly reasonable when we look at what we've done with the rates over the last few years. The other thing is that the 15% is really off of the current rate as it exists now, not necessarily off of this. So it kind of starts to close that gap, but that moves the non-resident into the 2050 range, 3560, 1630, 2610. You can see it kind of does the same type of thing, but like the increase here, I mean, it's what, 275 here, around there. It's around 460, so 230 for a family per person. The ranger's the ranger. But again, I'm looking at so 1420, that's a $210 increase. And that's kind of the message that we got from the town council is kind of doing that. If we raise the rates 5%, we're talking, I think it's 1705 versus 1720, maybe a little 1685. So it'd be 1685. I don't think that moves the needle for us to get to a point where we can start looking at the data. I think we need to move the needle a little bit more than that. My personal opinion.
I just want to ask if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Sure.
Having listened to the town councilors again on that recorded meeting, and Portia, if you're still here, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard loud and clear that whether it was 5 or 7% for the Groton resident, and I would go with the 7, Margaret, I just want to let you know that I agree, but then add 15% to that number. So if we go 7%, then we're increasing the non-resident 22%.
I agree with that.
That's what I heard in that meeting by
But
several
that's
councilors.
off of here, right? Not off of here.
No, taking the 2024 rates, raise them somewhere between 5 to 7% for Groton residents. And then
No, I got
whatever
that.
that
That's
amount
number here.
is, whatever that number is, add another 15% for non-residents. And
So
council,
the increase for the non-residents is really going to be in the 12% range.
that's not what the council wanted.
They
Correct.
didn't want.
They
Okay.
wanted a 15% over whatever the number was for the
Okay.
Groton resident. And Councilor Berlin, please correct me if I'm wrong.
That is what I have in my notes as well. But again, those meetings go so fast. My understanding was, yes, make it a 15% over whatever we're charging everybody else for the resident.
And that's why I said the 5, make it 5 for us and 20 for them. But whatever, I can go 7 and 22. That's what you.
That takes it to 1978 then for the
1980. I'm rounding.
1980, yeah, for non-resident then.
Again, I went through the meeting today and I was counting how many councilors said that, and the majority of them said that's what they want to see.
Okay.
Yeah, and my understanding is that they were for the increase to help support the golf course. And I can't speak for them. I have to speak for myself. But my understanding is that they didn't want it all in the backs of the taxpayer and the residents. They thought that, let's start to move the non-resident up to bring in some revenue.
Okay. So that's what it would end up looking like.
Is that, I'm sorry, I didn't pay attention. All the way down got changed?
All the way down got changed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the ranger, regardless of resident or not. The other question would be for the youth, does it need to be regardless of resident or not?
I heard on the meeting, all categories.
Okay. I think the ranger is kind of special. So I'll leave that there.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's the season pass rates. And then just because it's over here, of course, I know I'm going up. Hang on.
I just wanted on that last grid at the top of the one you changed, that's a what percent increase? Because it's not 15 anymore, right? What would that be?
No, it's now, hang on.
Should be a 22% increase.
It's
Yeah,
actually about
I
it.
don't think the council was talking about a 22% increase
No,
over the current rates.
it's only about a 10% increase over the current rate.
Only 10?
Yeah, it's 11% increase. That's what I was saying. By
Okay.
doing it this way, it's really down. I thought it was 12. My math is getting tough. It's been a long day. So yeah, so for the non-residents, this will end up being an 11% increase. And for the residents, it'll be a 7% increase.
I don't think that's what they wanted. They said very clearly that whatever number we raised for Groton residents, add a 15%.
Well, that's what I did.
number.
I took this number, which is the residents,
Oh,
so
okay.
the 7%, and then I took 15% on top of that.
Okay, but because their number was already larger, it's 11%.
Correct.
for them.
So when I originally did it, I took it off of a 15%.
Yes, okay,
off of
okay,
that.
I agree, I
And
agree.
because this number is lower now, this becomes lower and this becomes lower, which is what
I understand what you're saying. Sorry.
it's okay. Right.
So in the long run, that does increase the rate more. So if I'm correct, you heard that Groton residents used to get a 10% discount over non-residents, somewhere between 10 and 11. So now that percentage increase gets less, correct?
Looks like it's going to be an 11% difference. In the, at least in the full unlimited, which is really the basis of it.
So we're keeping that same,
About that same.
about that same. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1370, so these folks, lucky. And then plus, that's about 210, which is about 15% more than that. That's a little bit higher. This is 15%. Around I don't know why I rounded these to 10, but I did. I rounded everything to 10. Yeah, so this is just 15% higher than this.
Margaret, shouldn't all the percentages be the same? I mean, I
Well, that's
don't
what they
understand
are. Yeah, so it's because these rates, yeah, so I took these rates, just to be clear,
Yeah,
multiplied them times 7% and got this column.
right.
and then multiplied this column by 15% and rounded to the nearest 10 and got these numbers.
But you're saying the difference between,
That's all the same. But the
The-
problem was, yeah, these numbers from last year, if we'd gone with a 15% increase on these numbers, will be higher. But because we're
Yeah.
doing the 15% off of this number now, it's lower.
right,
So 1580 divided by 1370. That's about a 15% increase. But that's about a 15% difference, but it's probably because of the difference between these two, proportional to the difference between these two.
okay,
So what happens is we start, you raise your rates. So the curves each of the curves is going to be slightly different over time. Because if you're raising 15% on a higher number, at some point you kind of have to flatten that one back out.
yeah,
Otherwise, the increase is significantly quicker. And I'm pretty sure this is 15% D7. And this guy was 7% of this guy. So yeah, so these are all about, so the 11% is off of this number, just for the record. So 1580 divided by 1420. Having so much fun. That's about 11%. So in general, yeah, so the question is, do we want 15%, which is what we've got? And it just means that the increase for the non-residents is going to be 11%. Because we're going 15% off of this number. So that's consistent. This is all 11%.
oh, okay, yeah, that's what I thought it should be, but
Well, but it's off of this number.
not off of,
No, it's 15% off of this number,
yeah,
but 11% off of this number. So
Right.
the increase year over year is going to be 11% for the non-residents. And 7% for the residents.
yeah,
Okay. So before I put this into a motion, which I'm going to do here shortly, I just want to quickly take a look at the proposed. So ignore anything loyalty card, just ignore all this mech over here. These are, just because they've gotten lost in this conversation, these are the proposed greens fees for the year. On the weekend, for 18 holes up until around 3 o'clock-ish, $65. 9 holes, 39 in the afternoons. Youth rate 30. And mind you, this is our prime time on the weekends, Friday to Sunday. And then the associates are $50. So that's a discount off of the 65. So half and 9 hole. During the week, our proposed greens fee is 55. The senior and active duty and retired military is 50, 9 holes 33. The youth is 25 and the associates are 45. Ignore all this muck down here. Okay. And then weekday tournaments are $70 plus a cart. So what's that, 85 or 90? And then weekends are 75, which includes Fridays, 75 plus a cart, which is either 95 or 90 for a tournament.
Those tournament rates should include the cart,
Those should include the cart. So there's no increase.
correct?
So we're not increasing tournament rates from last year to this year?
That's what was on our proposal, yes.
All right. Those should go up.
I agree. I
So at
think
least on the
tournament rates
last
should go up.
sheet that I saw with JJ wanted to go to $90.
That included the cart.
That included the cart, right? So that was a $15 jump. But then it went back to the original number in the recommendation
Because the cart
that
came
went
out.
to the council.
Cart came back out. I don't know why. Well, I do from Parks and Rec, I think, that discussion. Because
What is,
their feeling was that, I think, that the player should be able to choose whether to purchase a cart or not for a tournament.
Well, right
And they
now,
only, they typically do not walk.
right.
Yeah, I
All the
know, I
tournaments
know.
pretty
Right.
much ride everybody.
right,
You know, when I saw that that tournament rate was jumping to $90, I had made the comments, I think to Mark and maybe Todd as well, that almost all of our tournaments are loyal returning tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
and every one of them is trying to raise money for something in our community.
Hmm.
So I didn't think it was justified to have a 15 or 20% or whatever that number was jump.
That's fine. But would it
That
be
was-
fair then to just charge these two rates? The 65 plus the cart and then the 55
Yeah, I
plus?
mean, if it went 75 to 80 or 85, I wouldn't have as much of a big deal with it. But you know, I was just trying to keep that
That's fine.
increase reasonable. That was my 2 cents.
No, I hear you.
I think that,
I respect the ambition of fundraising as a person who's actively involved in that on many boards I'm a part of. But I will tell you, nothing's for free, and people know that going in. My friend's sister passed. She had cerebral palsy, and they have a golf tournament in Mass every year. And their rate for tournament versus their whole fee, I mean, they're a smaller golf course, but their 18 holes or whatever is, I think, 60 there, and their tournament fees on weekdays are 75 and on weekends 85. I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, it's for you guys to decide. But they're raising money, but they're willing to give money to an organization like us, meaning the golf course, a town thing, to use our facilities too. So
Still cheap.
everything goes up, even the tournament fees. Everything I go to, those fees do go up with the cost. So I'm not saying it has to be 15% or 7%, but if you're charging 65 for 18 holes, and then you're only charging 70 for I mean, that's more wear and tear on the facilities, the demand, I don't know, but you guys will decide.
We will.
It also, and I'm all for tournaments, but it also takes away from greens fees coming in when there's a tournament.
wouldn't the best thing be to Eric's point, just make it the greens fee for the tournament is 65 and the cart is 20 and it's $85. Just like anybody would pay to play there. Then it's explainable.
Yep.
Plus the other thing you gotta worry about if you go beyond that is the par 4. So the par 4 depends on the tournaments because they usually put a big spread out for a number of these tournaments. And if we go too far, we could scare them away and that affects the par 4. So they're assuming that they're gonna get so many tournaments per year. Okay, that's not guaranteed, but if you price them out of the ballpark, then they might go elsewhere. But I think what's explainable is how much does it cost to play here? $65. And a cart is how much? 20? There it is, 85.
Yeah. So it would look like this
Right,
with cart.
right. That's explainable.
Eric, you okay with that? It's not the 90.
Yeah,
95.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but at one point the cart was in and then the cart was out, and I'm not sure exactly where that happened. Because that number did change based from what we had originally put forward. All right.
Speaking of
So-
carts, can we decide about that request for the $15 to maintain the $15 before 9 a.m. on weekdays? I know we voted against it, but I think we've just opened this all up again and
Leave it at 20. Do we anticipate the next lease going up?
Yes.
Okay.
and when will that be, the next lease?
Are we in year 3, Todd? You still there?
I think we're going into year 3.
Okay, thanks, Eric.
Another year before we can, somebody has to worry about that. Before 9 a.m., if you're over what age?
Is there an age now? I don't know. I don't ride, so I don't know.
I think it's seniors, so is it 62? 65, 70, 90?
I think 62 is a
Well,
senior, is it not?
62 is listed
62
up
for
above.
senior we have, so
Right.
Okay. So then it would be 15. Okay. And we think that's how many people per day? I heard 5 at the council meeting, 5.
I think Todd said 14 at the committee of the whole meeting.
So that's $90 a day. I mean, excuse me,
Or maybe-
$70 a day.
Well, how many
Oh,
tea
times
times?
4.
Times
Hmm?
4. I shouldn't jump in and say, I'm just thinking that whether 10 tea times before 8, 9 o'clock.
Um,
If you start at 7, I'm
6,
guessing.
12, yeah, between 12 and 15. So that's 60 people. Between 15 to 60 people. Okay. So that could be $90 a day, 360, could be close to $10,000 lost revenue. Just pointing that out.
Mhm.
Monday to Thursday, Monday to Friday, or weekday is Monday to Thursday.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So, Margaret, we're proposing to do away with the guest fee at this
Yes.
point. Okay, I'm just,
This, I think, is a place where we can, to Gary's point, we can go fairly straightforward. The greens fees are the greens fees. One set.
Mhm.
If you're a resident and you want a discount, then you purchase a season pass.
That's what I meant.
I agree.
Okay.
I'd like to hear Councilor Bordelon's thoughts on this.
Yep.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So we're
we're-
discussing greens fees now,
Yep.
and the proposal is to have one set of green fees, not 2 sets, where previously we had guests, which were residents, and just the greens fees. So we're proposing to go with just one set of fees versus having 2.
And what's the pros and cons? What did the two present before and what would one present?
I'm just making a comparison between this year and last year.
Yep. So it was about a 5%, 7% discount. So for example, if you came to play on the weekends, it was $65 for the general public and it was $60 for a resident if we were going to do something like that. And the question is it worth the maintenance, even though with our fancy new software, we'll be able to do it, worth the maintenance of kind of tracking the two separately, for that kind of nominal difference if, or can we go with just one rate for greens fees and offer the discounts based on the age, as we're doing?
So when I did some of my research, I did see that greens fees were for town run. Some places did have resident versus non-resident. I think that was a difference.
Yeah, I mean, all the ones obviously that I have found that are over here in the places to be ignored, you got the discounted rate if you bought a loyalty card. But if you didn't buy a loyalty card, then you paid you pay the rack rate.
Yeah, so I think there should be a fee for residents and a fee for non-residents. Again, I only speak as
Yeah,
not the whole council.
I'm just worried a little bit about the overhead and then the constant having to ask for identification.
They do it I mean,
I
we
know.
gotta get there. I mean, right? We want to protect
Well-
our asset and raise money. We gotta,
Well, that would be my proposal for going with one rate. Let's just not, let's manage it all, the discounts off of the season passes. And then the greens fees, they're still very reasonable. I mean, these are the same fees, if not less than what Norwich is charging right now. Elmridge is getting close to this. I mean, we're still, relative to other golf courses in the area, a nice little bargain.
I think there should be a little bit higher just for non-residents.
Well, this would be the non-resident rate, and then the resident rate would have to come down from here.
What were the rates last year?
Hang tight. I want to say 55 and 50. I get it.
Monday through Friday, it was 45 for guests, 50 for non-residents. Weekends, it was 50 for guests, 55 for non.
So I think, I mean, whatever that split tier is, I think people are already used to that. So I think it should be this, I think you should do a resident versus non-resident.
So
I would
it'd be-
agree, a jump from $45 to $65 will not, I don't think it will enhance families from getting out there to play,
It doesn't, I'm not, well, during our prime time, we're targeting, which is this guy here, we're targeting folks, the youth rate is still fairly reasonable in the afternoons. And it's still fairly reasonable here. Yeah, it would go, so last year it was 50 and 45, so this year it would be, I would propose if we were gonna do that. So this would be the resident rate would go here. And you would do something simple like 60, 35, 25, 45. And then during the week, it would be 50. Well, these guys are already getting a discount. 45. 9 hole would be 30. Whoops, sorry, cat. Keyboard. 22 maybe. Associate 40. And then that would be it.
Parker, could we just make that 9-hole fee $40? So we're all within increments of 5.
This one here.
Except for this youth is
Which one?
22. The 9-hole fee is $39. Can we just make it 40?
Yep.
And then even change the youth to maybe 20. So we're all increments of $5. I think it'll all come out in the wash.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about the 9-hole weekday? Should that just be 35 then? 35 and then
Yeah.
resident 30? Then it's a little more digestible.
Okay.
Thanks.
I think that looks reasonable. What percent increase would each of these be from the previous year? What does that work out? Some people only want to know percents. What was that, like a 2% increase on cart? Or if I had, I could probably figure it out.
You're killing me. All right, weekend. So the resident would go from 50 to 60, so that's a 20% increase. The non-resident is going up. No, I'm lying. It's a $5 resident. Where are we? It's going from 50 to 60. That's 20. During the week, it's going from 45 to 50. That's about 10. I think we have the demand to be able to tolerate that on the weekends. And again, they want a discount, they can buy a season pass apparently. And the other option here would be to drop this, and this will kill Mike because it would be to something like 57.
I like the round number.
Yeah. I mean, you could take it to 55, but I mean, we didn't come up with very nice roundable numbers here. But a 10% discount would bring us down to like $49. So 55. I mean, this is this is targeted at prime time Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this is where we can make up some of our differences. And everywhere else, it's like a $5 discount. I'm open. This one. Mike, you have a suggestion on the number here?
Sorry, Marty, I stepped away for just a second for a men's room break. What was your question?
So we're gonna introduce a resident greens fee. This is non-resident.
I saw that, yep.
You okay with 55?
Should we go 50 to 55?
So this goes to 65
Right.
and this goes to 55.
And you're just trying to stabilize the percentage? So
No,
it's-
I'm just trying to make the numbers look round.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I know you took it down from 60 though, right?
The resident, yeah, I took it down from 60.
Okay.
I mean, that's the biggest bargain of the bunch.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, and fortunately, I know people are fixated on the percentages, but it's very hard to work with pure percentages when the numbers are all over the place.
Yep. Mark, what is your thoughts on these?
Well, I know we're going to get questioned on why is this rate going up 18% and why is this one going up 22%?
That's why
I know that question is going to come up.
Yeah, that's why I was asking about the percents. We had them ready to fire on here, so.
Yep.
You know, part of me was, to Mark's point, we went up 7% on resident. On the pass, do we just go a blanket 7% on all these? And then round the number, you know, up or down? I don't know.
So if we went up 7% on the residents, we would be at, rounded up, we would be at 55. We go up 7% on the non-residents, or 11% on the non-residents, which is what we said we'd do, right?
Well, I mean, me
At
personally.
61.
Yeah. I wouldn't get too hung up on the non-resident. I'm just thinking,
But we're there on because it was $50 last year, so 7% would bring it to $53.50. You round that up, it's at 55.
right. Yeah, I'm just more worried about, to Mark's point, the resident rate.
Well, that's the one I'm
thing.
talking about.
Yeah,
Every single resident rate is $5 less, except for the top one.
Yep. So we could take this to 60. And you just basically, as a resident, you get a $5 discount for now until we get the numbers.
is that what you meant, Eric? Or did you mean the 55 was right?
No, that's what I meant. The only one that wasn't $5 less was that top one. So you just make them all $5 less.
Yep.
Oh, you're just going $5.
It's a $5 discount per resident off whatever rate.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just thinking, do we go resident up 7% from last year and that's it? No?
Resident up 7%. It's where I was, 53.5, but you start going
Right.
like the 18 hole youth was $20, so you go up 7%, that's $1.40. What are we doing?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I was thinking, okay, you rounded up to 55, but so at least you're within the ballpark of the 7% increase we put on the season passes. You're
Okay.
somewhat, you have a little bit of consistency.
No, if they want a discount bigger than that, they can buy a season pass.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I just wonder if, to Mark's point, we're gonna get grilled about that.
Mm.
Why
I
would you
mean,
go?
I mean, if you want to go straight up 7%, then this is 53,
Right,
54. This is 9 hole, so 7%, another $1.50. This is 26, 27.50.
right. So do you
This
make
is
them 55, 30?
21.40,
Yeah,
and the associate. You
Not,
didn't post
not
it.
seeing the rates from this current to 2024, but if you added $5 to each 2024 resident rate, and then I'm again trying to think, does that get us in the ballpark? We had $5, and then for non-resident, add $10. I mean, I don't know. Is that far-fetched?
Well, then each rate in percentage of increases is different
True, I understand that,
based
but
on the base number. Yeah.
it's kind of understandable, say I don't know, just I'll keep out of it.
Well, no, I'm just, I know where the conversation's going to go.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that there's a win here.
Hmm.
Because if you take the weekday, just bring it back over. So if we were to
Okay, so
take the weekday to 60, and then the week for the resident, it would be 55. So that's more than what we're proposing right now. The 9 hole would go to 35 and 35. We're not raising that. The 9 hole league would go to 35 and 32. And then tournaments we've already discussed. And then it would be 65 and 60, 35 and 35. We're not touching the youth, and then we've already discussed that. I mean, we've already kind of done that with this proposal. It's just the percentages don't match up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it can easily be explained that we raised everything by $5.
Yep. Or 10. Around 10. And that we're offering the season pass if they want a bigger discount. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be a hard one. Maybe we
Or do you
could-
think we're good there?
Yep.
Unfortunately, I'm just not able to speak on behalf of everybody else because then it
No,
says.
No. We're not
Um,
asking you.
Yeah,
to.
we know that.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I think you guys do your best effort. I think you guys are doing the best you can. I mean, I give you a lot of credit.
Yeah, this
Um,
one's hard.
I mean, can you, so the numbers, I mean, they're really not going up that much in
No.
comparison to last year. Can you pull that other window up again and just lay it
course.
to the right of these numbers that are
Yeah,
just so I
of
can
course.
see it side by side really quick?
Let me just do this real quick.
Sorry. I
No,
didn't
that's
have,
okay. I'm just gonna make it easier for you to see.
I think the other thing to ground ourselves on is what the other courses are charging.
there we go. Okay, so 18 holes,
Yeah, there's a flipped weekend and weekday. I'm sorry.
that's weekday. Okay, weekday. I mean, that's not really much of a rate. I mean,
We're going up $5.
I mean, do you guys think that that's a lot?
No.
No.
I mean, my gym membership went up by like 20.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's, I mean, you guys, I mean, I don't think you guys really went crazy on the
No,
increase here.
no. I don't think we did either. And let's see if I've got it here. I still have no, oh yeah, Norwich doesn't have. Norwich is about the same. This is the same kind of rate structure for Norwich. Very close, anyway.
So these rates for green fees are pretty comparable to our neighbors.
Yeah, they are. Just gonna pull it up. And while I'm doing this, Marie needs to be let back in.
Oh.
So weekday and Friday. So their weekday rate is 55. And actually they charge the same rate. So this is their resident rate. It's 55, and we're putting it at 60 and 50. And then their non-resident is the same, 65 and 65.
I mean, I think you're right. You're right in the wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they charge $25 for a card.
Maybe bring that as a rate to, to show that this was an area where you didn't want to go up too much on the other areas, but you were able to do a little bit more of an increase. That's why the percents aren't the same. But if you
Yep.
look at neighboring towns, here's a great example. This is why we're doing this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Like in order for it to be competitive, it's not going to be exactly per the percent.
Right.
I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but
No, I think we're right there. The 9-hole, I mean, we're less 30. Well, we're about the same, 35 for non-residents, 30, 40 and 35. So we're right there. I mean, we're right in the wheelhouse.
Just a point I'm gonna make for someone that's on the call, but they're texting me, so they can't speak up. Just to voice their opinion that, what do we think of having the associate rate flat as well as the youth rate flat? And let me just go back to the text here. Youth staying at 25 across the board. And I don't have a reco. Let's see, wait a minute. Yeah, I don't have a reco on the associate, if that should be
No, associates can
50
manage.
across the board.
So 25 and 25 and 20 and 20.
For associate, I'm assuming 50 and 50 is what they're suggesting, and then for youth, 25 and 25. And I'll see if I get a text here.
And then 20 in the week.
Yeah, let's see.
I'm okay with the associate. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a fairly big discount. That's a 20% plus discount.
Yeah. I'm just asking, what does you think of your update? So let's see what I get for response.
Okay,
Okay,
all right. So I'm gonna make a motion. We ready to do that? I know everybody wants to like go to sleep. Or at least get some dinner.
Or have dinner.
At least I do. All right. So I make a motion to propose. I'm going to start with the greens fees. The greens fees for 2025 will be as represented here. So for residents on the weekends, I'm not going to read, I can get away. Do we all agree that it's this table? Take a screenshot of it or take a picture? Or should I read, Mark, do I need to read these aloud into the record? I think I need to read
No,
them.
I think as long as we get a screenshot of this, I mean, it's make a
Okay.
motion to approve the rates as presented in the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So make a motion to set the 2025 greens fees rates as presented in the worksheet. The cart fees as presented in the worksheet, so $20 except for the not before 9 a.m. Monday to Thursday, where it's 15 if you're over 62. And then do we want to do these separately? Two motions? Yeah,
Okay.
let's do them as two motions.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
Can I get
second the motion.
All right. Any discussion? Further comment?
I'm just waiting for a response back on a text. I'm not getting it, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming we go forward.
Okay. All those in favor of the proposed greens fees and cart rates?
Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Okay. Motion passed.
I did just get a text.
I-
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's,
Too late.
yeah, to have the associate rate 45 across the board, but
Nah, we're good.
I think we're okay.
Okay. Second motion of the night. For the season passes, I make a motion that we set the season passes per the spreadsheet. Residents will incur a 7% increase from 2024 rates. Non-residents rates will be set at an amount 15% greater than the resident rate.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion?
Margaret, that's a little confusing because
Yes. I'm gonna get rid of this.
because somebody's going to say, well, the difference is actually only 11%. How did you figure it was 15%?
It's 15% from the resident rate. It's 11% from 2024.
Okay, so it's 15% from the current from the proposed resident rate.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that should save 7% there and 15%, right? In the brackets? Or no?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think to Mark's point, so we're just talking apples and apples there, yes.
Well, if we're talking, that's the reason I put the 11, because apples and apples would make this 11%. Because it's the increase over 2024.
Yeah.
So if you want to, that's the reason I did that. So if this is
Right,
7%
right.
from 2024, and this is 11% from 2024. Somebody's gonna have to explain this, but this is 15% higher than this number here.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's gotta be
Okay.
explained, exactly.
Yep.
But it's an 11% increase year over year. Okay, other questions, discussions?
I don't know if we had a second on that. I'll second the motion if it hasn't been done.
Yes, heard you did, but maybe I was just hearing things. Okay. Because I had moved on to further discussion. No further discussion? Then put it out to vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right?
Okay. Opposed? Nobody? Okay. Motion carries. We will take this proposal forward to the Parks and Rec Commission. Mark, I'll redo this as a single spreadsheet, so it's clear.
Okay. Thanks, Margaret.
All right.
And would we
Any
know,
other
or
business?
it would be something we get notified about when the next session is with the Park and Rec? Because we're in a crunch for this,
Yep.
the
Yeah,
rates.
I'll reach out to the chair tomorrow morning and try to get a date set for a special meeting.
And then do these go to the council at their first Tuesday of the month meeting? I think it is Tuesday or Monday of the month.
Hopefully we could catch the second council of the whole meeting. Not sure what date that is.
Is it before the 15th of the month of April?
Oh, yes. Well, yeah, if we can't catch
The
I'm
March.
I'm just looking this up now.
Sure.
Well, wait a minute. So the second meetings.
So you have the first
So
and the
this-
8th, right?
The second council of the whole is the 25th.
25th of March?
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, because then we could get this accepted by then, and then we can publicize the rates and then see who's joining.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So the goal would be to try to hit the 25th.
that'd be great, Mark.
That would be.
Okay. Any other business? All right. I think we can call the meeting adjourned. Do I need a motion to do that?
A motion to adjourn with a thank you to you, Margaret and Mark, Michael.
No, thank you. All right, now, thank you, everybody, for your input.
Yep, thanks, Margaret.
Thank you.
And
Yep.
everyone else as well.
Everybody else appreciate it. Eric, Have a nice evening.
Same to
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks
too.
too.
Good night.